Hello everyone, my name is Sean Kerklaan. I'm with the CEO of Fatigue Science, and I'm going to show you today what no other wearable technology can do. This is an accelerometer that I wear on my watch, on my wrist, and it doesn't require any buttons to push. It automatically tracks how I sleep, and it shows me how I'm currently performing at 85%. And it will scroll through and say, in 8.5 hours from now, you're going to reach 70%, which is dangerous. It's dangerous correlated to a blood alcohol level of 0.08. You should know that you should not be driving a motor vehicle at 70%. Nick, video please. This is a bit of a graphic video. The driver in this video does end up okay, but you'll notice that he starts to drift off, closes his eyes momentarily, This is a real-life example of what fatigue can do to you as a driver. This is a massive study that the United States Department of Transportation undertook to understand whether or not fatigue was a contributing factor in motor vehicle accidents. We work with the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Federal Aviation Authority, the FDA, to take the scientific algorithm we have embedded in this Readiband to help make people safer. I'm going to show you how the watch syncs with your mobile phone. You can see right now there's an alert factor. You're looking at a 24-hour clock. Top is 12 a.m., bottom is 12 p.m. And you can see the amount of data we're actually tracking. So we're looking at how are you sleeping. We're 93% accurate compared to if you were in a hospital sleep lab called a polysomnography. We can track the number of movements you have all night. We can set alarms to tell you what time you should go to bed at and what time you should wake up at. Track your activity throughout the day. And what's important to understand is when I tell you how I'm performing right now and I push this little button, it's scientifically equivalent to helping you understand A, your reaction time, and B, your ability to concentrate. So the elite athletes, professional sports teams that we work with, they care about being at peak performance in the green zone. They want to be as quick as they can. Quick reaction times, quick ability to concentrate, quick ability to make decisions so they can win their games. They want to be in that green zone. When you wake up in the morning, that's typically where you start off. And as the hours of the day go on, you get more and more tired. As you reach the yellow zone, you start to get tired. It's okay if you're sitting at a desk and you need to type some emails, it's not a big deal. But if you were a police officer, or you were a surgeon, you were a pilot of an airplane flying 700 people across the Atlantic Ocean, we can tell you when you're going to put yourself and others in danger by simply measuring the accelerometer on your wrist. In the orange zone, it's equivalent to a blood alcohol of 0.08. You probably all know that if you have 2 or 3 beers at a bar, you shouldn't get in your car and drive. The same is true about fatigue. If you're not sleeping properly, you should not be driving. I'm going to look at how I performed yesterday. Same 24-hour period. The bottom zone, the bottom green zone, is where I care about being at my peak. The bottom average of 88% is how I performed overall throughout the hours of the day that I was awake. 78% is where I'm averaging for the hours, I apologize, 78% is how I'm averaging throughout the hours awake. 88% is during my game time. Let me show you what I mean by game time. I care about being at my best because I work at a desk and I'm at my desk from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Well, probably a lot more hours than that, but that's where I care about. If I was a student and I had a big exam on Friday at 10 a.m., I could identify that that's when I care about being at my peak. Or if I was a sports player and I had a basketball game on Sunday at 5 p.m., we can identify for you, or you can identify for us, where you want to be at your peak. And our app will help coach you around how you can achieve the right amount of sleep the 7 days leading up to the event that you care about. It will trigger an alarm for you. You see the little blue icon up at the top left. It will automatically vibrate your wrist 30 minutes before you go to bed. It will track the quality of sleep you get throughout the night. It's not about going to bed and pushing a button on all the other consumer devices out there and identifying that you went to sleep. This is scientific, valid data. We automatically detect what time you go to bed. And it's not just about getting 8 hours of sleep. It's about getting 8 hours of quality, undisturbed sleep. So we can track how you're sleeping, how many hours you're actually sleeping, qualify the quantity, the quality of the sleep you're getting, and help you understand how that's going to contribute to your overall effectiveness. The pilots to Air Force One, before they take off with President Obama, have to run their sleep analysis through our software because they understand that fatigue is dangerous. Our technology is highly valid, and we're here right now to launch a consumer version on the mobile technology to make this data available to everyone out there. We're looking for a Series A round of $3 million. We're looking to license our algorithm. We know we're not out there on every consumer wearable device. We've really been in the enterprise space for the last 5 years, and we want to take this rock-solid technology that we have and make it available to the misfits that you saw this morning, or the fuel bands, or the jawbone ups. There's a lot of cool devices out there that could harness our IP and make you, as individuals, be able to achieve the goals you want, perform at a higher level than you thought was possible. Thank you.
Sean, basketball.
Just so you know, this is one of the companies in our 2.0 competition. 2.0 is an existing company with a new product, their consumer version of their, for their company. So feedback from our judges. Katie, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of sleep tracking. I've probably used most of the devices out there. And one of the big troubles is one you identify, which is, what am I going to do about it? So is your device specific to me, or does everybody's sleep look the same, and do you coach everybody in the same way? Because I think, you know, we're all pretty different, would be my hypothesis, but I'd love to hear yours.
Hello. Couple things. So yes, it is unique to you, but no, you're not that unique that we can't generalize. The rule of thumb is we are all diurnal animals, and getting 8 hours of sleep is important. So we will track how you want to perform, how you're sleeping, and coach you specifically around that. But the general rule of thumb is 8 hours. Another comment on what you're talking about, trying all the other wearable devices, is we know one of the hardest things to capture is getting you to push that button when you go to sleep. Or when you take off the wearable device, recharging it and getting it back on your wrist. That's why we've made a really awesome product that's got a 3-month battery on it, 3-month memory capacity. You never need to take it off. You simply wear it. It's totally waterproof. You can dive with it. You can climb with it. It's military-grade technology that stays on your wrist. And that's how our algorithm can really track what your behavior is like.
Do you think women will like to wear it?
It's a real challenge for us. Fashion absolutely is a challenge.
That's a good
You're
quick
absolutely
response.
right.
No.
Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's good to hear that you're looking at licensing. The world has great products with Jawbone and Fitbit, and I think there's obviously more. Nike obviously is investing. We think Apple's going to invest. And so it seems like there's a market of people that could license it. Now, granted, not a massive group of consumer electronics that can do it, and it doesn't seem like the use case. You could package this 1,000 ways. There's so many use cases, and I think one challenge is what is that killer use case that you're ultimately that's gonna take traction, be proprietary to you, and then ultimately be licensable.
It's a great question, great comment. You're absolutely right. As a startup, we struggle to stay very focused on where is the revenue coming from and where is the true market for us. We work with a number of professional sports teams in National Hockey League, National Football, National Soccer, the US Olympics. We've just closed a deal with the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban signed on to understand that our technology can help their players achieve even 1 or 2% better. It gives them the opportunity to win. And we think that can be applied to everyone out there who wants to be a little bit better. You're the police officer who cares about how you're going to perform tonight on night shift with a loaded weapon. You know, wearing a mobile technology like a Fitbit or a fuel band, if it could quantify for you how you're performing and coach you to get just a little bit better or a little bit safer, we think your adoption of wearing that technology would be greatly enhanced, and you'd be more likely to wear it for a longer period of time.
Well, my guess is that greater than the market for optimization is the market for people that have a required duty of care. So when you see things like planes crashing because a pilot is tired, that is probably a stronger incentive for a business to put down a big order to roll it out to all their employees that have this duty of care and alertness requirement. So, quick question though. So if you're focusing on sleep as the greatest measure for mental, what are you calling it, mental effectiveness?
Mental effectiveness.
Are there plans to integrate other types of factors like caffeination, prescription drugs, or anything else along the lines?
It's a great question. We will focus on activity. We know that if you got up this morning, you hiked the mountain, and you came back down, 3 hours of activity would affect your quality of sleep tonight. But we're not factoring in caffeine right now or drugs. It's a good question, though. I might touch on your first comment about the use cases. So, like, would doctors care about understanding? Would pilots care about understanding? And the enterprise clients that we work with, mostly in mining and transportation, the companies come in and say, look, we want to make our workers safer. We want to understand how the work schedules we make you work actually affect your performance. And it's by quantifying what their behaviors are that the employers can get a better understanding of how that 12-hour work roster affects the overall performance of their employees. And that can drive different legislation. It can drive better adoption of better working conditions, including for physicians and truck drivers.
So I have two quick questions. One is, how much is the price of the device, and also what kind of margins it has? And the second is, you mentioned that you want to license it. In your dream world, would you just be a licensing company, or would you continue to sell devices?
My dream world, we would be just the licensing company with the IP that ties into all of our parties. We aggregate the data. Ultimately, we want to own that data because we think that data can set standards and trends and help make people safer. And we do that for industries in mining, oil and gas, and pipelines right now.
But you want to be in other people's devices. You don't want to stay in the consumer electronics business.
Manufacturing is definitely not our forefront. Our forefront is the IP we have that can quantify how you're sleeping and how that correlates to your performance.
Okay. And the pricing?
$250 per unit per wearer, and we've got large clients all over the world using this right now.
What will it be when you're a consumer? What would be the consumer licensing deal? $2.50 or?
It's a great question. That's exactly what we're looking at. We're talking to a number of very big consumer wearable tech companies right now. We're looking at a premium model that can enhance, like game time, allow the user to identify where they want to go, and build a revenue share model. It says, as your users adopt our technology, let's make this a win-win.
Brian?
So just one quick question about, so you can measure all this stuff, and measuring is great, right? But changing the numbers is the important thing. So if I find out that noon is my peak time, right, and 9 I'm not really doing so well, but I got to be on stage at launch showing off some product at 9, I kind of want to be effective then. So how do you take that data and tell a person like what to change to become better besides go to sleep 3 hours earlier or don't have kids and don't have dogs? Like what can you tell them?
Yeah, our technology does exactly that, and that's why we work with all these professional sports teams, is they identify that, hey, I've got to travel from here to Boston, I've got a game on Sunday at 5 p.m., and that's what we've been doing for the last 6 years, is identifying how jumping 3 time zones will affect your performance, and coaching you with tips on, well, you shouldn't sleep on the plane, because if you slept on the plane, by the time you land in Boston at 11 p.m., you're not going to be able to go to sleep tonight in time to wake up tomorrow. We do that with marathon runners on an individual basis who say, I've got a race at 7 a.m. Help me understand how I have to race at 7, I have to fly the day before, what do I do to get better? And it's quick, small tips that say, don't sleep on the plane, don't have a cup of coffee 3 hours before you go to bed, don't snack. Simple things like, don't have an alarm clock or your iPhone in your bedroom beside your bed. It's really simple, common technology, or common theories that it's really hard for people to change their behaviors, but by prompting them and showing them how these small changes can improve their performance, we get their adoption to our technology.
Great.
Great. Let's hear it for Fatigue Science. Well
Thank
done.
you.